Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast with Jay Gordon Duncan. And if you're wondering why the J, the answer is, I'm not a bagpipe player. And if that joke doesn't make any sense, I encourage you to check out episode 0, where I explain that joke, as well as the purpose of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, where we talk about faith, family, fitness, finances, and sometimes fun. Hey, friends, welcome back to the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast. As always, I've got to start with thank you very much. You guys are listening, you're commenting, and all those things. I'm always thankful. I never get tired of thanking you. Guys, I'm getting close to, I'm 4.5 years or something at this point in time. I got to figure out when year 5 is. I always lose track. But we're well. I think this is episode 430 or high 420s or something like that. Thank you. It's amazing that you tune in. I heard a stat the other day that over 90% of podcasts don't make it past 3 episodes. And going into year 5 is ridiculous. Our podcast, because you tune in and I'm stubborn and keep recording episodes, is a top 1% podcast. Now, when you get those high numbers, those Ed Milet's and the Joe Rogans and those guys, they're 1% of 1%. Good for them. But this podcast is a top 1% podcast because you guys keep tuning in. So thank you very much. And last week, if you did not get to listen to that episode, go back. I got to interview Vanessa and Sheena from Marketing Muse. And Marketing Muse are fantastic. They're digital marketers and consultants, and they've started this company on their own. They've helped me with things. So it was really great to talk to other people in a similar field and get their wisdom, and I hope that you check them out. There's no competition. There's enough here for everybody. I'm excited about Marketing Muse. So they are tremendous. So I've got a new project. Listen, I always have projects. You know that. We've got Capitalize Your Best, which is our online hybrid platform for marketing and marketing training. We do full-scale marketing. We do in-person marketing training. We have a publishing company. We just published a brand new book by Sarah Hurst that you've got to check out. You and Me Forever Always Be. Check that out. I may have said that wrong, which is funny because we published a book and I have looked at that thing forever. But it's a tremendous book about adoption. Please go check that out. Sarah Hurst. You can get it at Amazon. If you really want to support her, go to Lulu, which is LULU.com, and type in Sarah Hurst. That book is fantastic. We have a lot of things going on. Toughness Groove, which is our fitness and apparel line for running. But it's time to start something new. And I want to tell you how it all came about, and then I want to tell you how it's part of the bigger journey. Let me catch my breath. Whew. Okay. Here's the thing. By the time this airs, you will be able to go to capitalizecoffee.com, and you will be able to order our line of coffee. Let me tell you what it's about, why it's different, and why I'm passionate about it, okay? But capitalizecoffee.com should be live by the time this goes. I'm sure it will be. I won't post this episode unless it's live. I'm confident it's live. So here's what we wanted to do. I have shared over and over and over again my epilepsy journey because, one, epilepsy awareness is incredibly important. People need to know what folks are going through. I want to be an encouragement to anybody with brain damage or anybody who is suffering neurological conditions. And so my journey of fitness and brain health is part of what we're going on here. And it was just time for us to go into that field. Because if you know, I love coffee. I love, love, love coffee. And so whenever I see passions combined and intersect, then I begin to think, should I get involved in that field? For example, Toughness Groove, which is at toughnessgroove.com, and then we're on Toughness Groove on Instagram. That is our fitness and apparel line. It's really about overcoming obstacles, finding that ability to overcome obstacles. That's what Toughness Groove is really about. It's where it started. And I began chronicling, it's a tough word for me to say, my marathon journey. And in fact, right now, if you go to Instagram at Toughness Groove, I'm doing a daily reel about my marathon training for Richmond. And so I run 6 days a week, and I'm doing it every single day and mapping it out because I want folks to get a sense of what it looks like to train for a marathon. So back in, I believe it was 2012, it got to me. I was like, wait a minute, I wear so much running gear. Why am I wearing someone else's gear? I should have my own gear, and I should use it to try to inspire others. So that's when we launched Toughness Groove, which is in 2012. And so we've got a line of clothing out there that says Toughness Gear. We've got long sleeves, short sleeves. We've got singlets for men and women. And part of that is having my own clothing line, because why am I going to buy someone else's? But the other thing is to inspire people to take that step. We at Toughness Groove always talk about respecting all movement. If you're moving, totally respect it. Take that first step. And so that was the inspiration behind that. So then we began publishing books. I'm like, well, if I'm going to publish books, I want control over it. And so we published a first couple of books were collections of my blogs that were spiritually based. And then I began publishing books for the eye care industry, and on and on and on. Well, coffee, neurological, there were some intersections there that I began to think about. And so what do I do? Well, here's my coffee journey. First of all, my parents were coffee drinkers. Every day. They didn't drink good coffee, but then again, in the 70s and 80s, almost no one drank good coffee. So it was Maxwell House and Folgers and that kind of thing. And so I started drinking coffee probably when I was around 16, 17, and 18. Now remember, that's the late 80s, 1986, 87. There's not a Starbucks lying around in Smithfield, North Carolina. There's none of those things. You know, a coffee shop back then was a diner, or going to a Waffle House. That's what a coffee shop was. So I started drinking it, and then I went off to college, and that's when I really dug in. It was like I'm drinking coffee every single day. And I still began to drink what I call dirt coffee. It was just coffee for the sake of caffeine and a little bit of flavor, only a little bit. And I remember when in college in Greenville, North Carolina, East Carolina, we got our first coffee shop. It's called the Java Shop. There's probably a million Java shops in the country. And I loved it. And I started going there regularly whenever I had money. And then I went to Raleigh, and Cup of Joe was like the coffee shop of coffee shops for me. It was big. I was an English major. I'd go there and I'd read poetry and drink my coffee. Went to that whole early 90s sort of coffee explosion and the whole bohemian thing. And that day, Cup of Joe was my favorite coffee shop. And then so I started to enjoy good coffee. And initially, I was a cappuccino drinker, and started making it at home, and I bought an espresso machine. And then my love of coffee and my development of my taste for coffee grew. But what it really came down for me is I just like coffee. I drink black coffee 99.9% of the time. Coffee, and I don't do anything to it. Coffee's either good or bad. If it's good, I'm going to drink it. If it's not, it's not. So I don't put sugar. I don't put cream in there. I like black coffee. And I like dark roast, typically, very earthy coffee. It's the same reason I like red wine or bourbon or dark beer. I like those. I like that dark taste. And so grew, and I started doing guitar gigs in my 20s at coffee shops, and just the whole coffee environment became very much something I enjoyed. And so I began to drink a lot of coffee, probably too much coffee. But just the taste of it, if it was good tasting, I would drink it. And so that's just part of who I am. And on my Instagram or my Facebook page, you get a lot of pictures of coffee. And so as much as I can, I try to support local coffee shops. But, Starbucks, you're out and about, you grab a Starbucks too. There's not always a local where you are. So my first choice is always local. But it's fine with me to grab a Starbucks, right? I'm more of a Starbucks than a Dunkin' Donuts guy. That's how that works. You're usually one or the other. So coffee is very much part of, honestly, my personality. It's one of the things that I love doing is just drinking coffee. The mere act of it, right? The ritual of drinking coffee. On Instagram, every single morning I come downstairs, I take a cup of coffee, and I sit in the same spot on the floor to get dressed to run, and I take a photo of my coffee cup. And I timestamp it, and I put it up on Instagram. I do it every day. It's just part of my ritual. Well, as I've gone through this, how do I optimize every part of my life to try to keep my brain healthy, this became part of it. So my doctors never said, hey, you need to stop drinking coffee. They didn't tell me to be mindful. They told me to drink a ton more water. Like if you can drink coffee, you've got to drink a lot more water. And admittedly, I was never a faithful water drinker, but have become more faithful and more faithful. I'm trying to drink way more water, and I know that's healthy for me. If I don't, my brain hurts, my brain gets cloudy. So I know if I'm going to drink a lot of coffee, got to have the water. But then optimization became a part of it. Like, am I drinking the coffee that's best for my brain? And so just blasting it out on caffeine is not necessarily what's best for my brain. Yes, you're going to get those capillaries flowing and that kind of thing, but quite honestly, after a while, the caffeine doesn't really even have an effect on me. I can drink a cup of coffee at 10 and go to sleep. So, what works? Well, there have been a lot of studies from Harvard, and there's this meme going around where they say 2 cups of coffee a day, people who drink it live longer, and then people are like, I am immortal. Well, that's actually based upon some studies, and there's a combination of factors that makes coffee more healthy for your brain. And when I heard that, I'm like, okay, now I'm interested. What can I drink coffee that can be best for my brain? And so the magic formula is the magic formula. Here it is. It's certified organic, as pure as you can be, mildew free, which no one talks about. We're going to come back to that. And dark roast is better for your brain. Now, you'll get organic coffee. It's usually a little bit more expensive. Mildew free is important because the majority of coffee that's on the shelves has mildew in it. You're not going to get sick from it and throw it up. But if it was mildew free, it would tell you that it's mildew free. So being able to assure your drinkers there's no mildew, it's not just sitting in the bags and gaining mildew is incredibly important. And dark roast is more healthy for your brain. So when I began to think about that, I looked around, and there's a few coffees that would meet those criteria, but very few. And if you're making coffee at home, and you're buying off the shelf, you're probably not. And I buy a lot of coffee. And so just like with the whole running gear thing, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I paying for someone else's gear when I can have my own? Why am I paying someone for anything when I can do it my own? And then it hit me. I was on the way home from vacation, and this idea has floated around, but not a ton. And I was listening to a book, and in the midst of that travel, I thought, that's it. It's time to launch our own coffee line. So that's where Capitalized Coffee comes from. It brings out your best. Remember, we're Capitalize Your Best. So it's coffee that brings out the best in you. It's brain healthy coffee. And on the website, you're going to see citing for the research here. We're not just throwing this out here. So here's what our coffee always is. It's always organic, it's always mildew free, and it's dark roast. We will not be selling anything that's not dark roast. That's what we'll do. We are going to launch with a Honduran bean, and we will have more lines than that. We'll have other countries and areas than that, but we're launching with Honduras because I like Honduras. And it's a little bit easier, palatable as our first line. We're going to do a dark, earthy flavor next, and we'll launch those. But right now we're launching with Honduras. It's very easy to drink, very easy on the stomach. It's organic, it's mildew free, and it's dark roast. And the goal here is, no one's going to drink a cup of coffee and their seizures are cured or no longer have a condition. None of that. It's what is the coffee that's most healthy for your brain, right? Why put anything in the way? And this is the lineup. So organic, mildew free, and dark roast. That's it. It's most healthy for your brain. So that's what we are going to do. Capitalized Coffee. And our first bean will be Honduras. And we're selling whole bean. So what you do is you can go to capitalizedcoffee.com and you have 2 options. And all of this is shipped direct to the consumer right now. You can buy 3 bags plus shipping and handling, and we will mail it directly to you. And that's $49.95 for 3 bags. Or you can set up a subscription, and once a month, we will send you 3 bags and shipping and handling, and that's $46.95. You get a break if you subscribe to it, and that way it just comes to your house. You don't have to think about it. Now, you can buy a bag of coffee for $8, $10, $12. Of course you can. Our bags of coffee are $15. And it's not any reason for us to jack it up. It's that we're making sure that it's organic and mildew free. And I was telling someone this the other day. No one would expect the cheapest coffee to be the best coffee, and no one would expect the best coffee to be the cheapest. I'll say that again. No one would expect the cheapest coffee to be the best coffee, and no one should expect the best coffee to be the cheapest. And so we're right there in the middle. We really are. If you buy some of those coffee lines that are super exotic locale or super high caffeine, I mean, all of them are extremes. They're more expensive than ours. But our goal is to try to keep it as affordable as possible to have great coffee for your brain delivered to your house. So again, you can get 3 bags of coffee, they're 12-ounce bags, delivered, or you can set up a subscription. And if you set up a subscription, then it becomes more affordable. We will eventually be launching other regions beyond Honduras, and then we'll be eventually launching some fantastic swag. We're going to have mugs and gear and all of that stuff. But here's the big picture. The big picture for this is this. Why drink anything that's not optimal for your brain? You may not have a neurological condition like mine. Thank God for that, right? But again, why would you drink anything that's not optimal for your brain? That we all need our brain to function as optimally and healthfully as possible. Why drink anything that is not optimal for your brain? And ours is designed for that. Doesn't cure anything, but it is the healthiest as we can discover at this point in time, according to the studies, for your brain. And it just makes sense. Now, let me let you in on a secret. Here's the big picture for us. We don't want to just sell coffee. We're going to move into a larger brand called Capitalize Your Best Life. And within that, we want to provide products that optimize your brain and your life. And so our goal over the next 2 years is to launch 5 products. And when you get these products, our goal is to make them as optimal for your brain and your life as possible. Why? Because that's, first of all, what's important to me. But second of all, I wanted to make it important for you as well. Why do anything that's not optimal for your brain? It's your brain. And so that's where we're going. We're launching a large brand, a lifestyle brand called Capitalize Your Best Life. And that's where we're headed. So over the next 2 years, our goal is 5 products. So again, Capitalize Your Best is our program to help for marketing and marketing programs. This is something brand new. But the big picture on this is to create a brand where we're trying to help you be the absolute best you can be. So that's the inspiration behind it. The coffee tastes great. If perhaps Honduras is not the blend, we don't do blends. If it's not the region that you like, then we're going to have other regions debuting soon. But right now we're just going to launch with 1. So please head over to Capitalize Coffee and support it. Eventually, as we get going, we're going to want to support some neurological charities and causes. So we want this to go in there. Right now, we're just trying to get this thing launched so we can make it affordable for you and affordable for us to launch it. It's going to be amazing. But I can't wait that when I'm at home, I know I'm drinking the coffee that's absolute best for my brain, and it tastes good. So friends, thanks so much. There's an element of this is pitchy today, so hang in there. Thank you. Now, here's the most important thing for you. Here's the takeaway. Whether you buy a Capitalized coffee or not, think about what you're doing. Is it optimal for your brain? If it's not optimal for your brain, you got to ask yourself what you're doing. Listen, if you eat ice cream and cake, it's not optimal for your brain. It's a blast of sugars. Every now and then, it's okay. But the question is, what is your pattern? Are you creating a pattern and discipline that's best for your brain? That's what we're trying to help you do. It's what we're doing. So thanks, guys, for hanging in there. CapitalizeCoffee.com. I can't wait to see you again next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
How do you shorten the time it takes to buy a car? Car buying just got easier. Pohanka365.com lets you complete as much or as little of the car buying process online. Pohanka365.com. Car buying simplified. Anytime, anywhere.
Small business owners, you should be praised for wanting to grow your business. That's a good thing, and not everybody has the guts to do it. As a business owner myself, I know you've overcome obstacles that people don't even know about. Hi, my name is Gordon Duncan, the owner of Capitalize Marketing and Consulting, and I want you to know that if your business hasn't grown like you want it to, it's not your fault. If it's not COVID getting in the way, it's ridiculous things like changing social media algorithms. You're right in thinking that very few people are doing small businesses any favors right now. But Capitalize Marketing and Consulting is here to help. We've created a 90-day course that is guaranteed to grow the revenue of your business. It will give you the tools that you've been looking for, and as a certified coach, I would be with you along the way. If you would like to learn more about our program, just visit CapitalizeYourBest.com and get started enjoying the success you deserve. Again, that's CapitalizeYourBest.com, and I can't wait to celebrate all you accomplish.